Okay, so today's inspection, there's a guy named Michael and a guy named Adrian. I did a structural inspection for them a couple of days ago, and he decided I was awesome, so he's calling me to do this home inspection as well as the structural inspection. I guess Michael was referred by Adrian, who again, he did that because he thought I did a good job on a structural inspection. So this is the home inspection. And I'm going to see if I can figure out what the names are, whose everybody's names are, because I'm horrible at that. I'm going to try and figure out a way to do that. I remember Adrian is a name in Rocky. Michael, I guess that's another name for Adam, so maybe I can remember it that way. But here's the house, and it's way up in the avenues. It's on like 8th Avenue. So these homes have a way of being fascinating and difficult from a home inspection perspective. This is actually the first inspection that I'm using with my headset, so we'll see how this goes. I know it's shaky, but it's the only way I can figure out to record these so that you don't have to physically be here as I do these. I think shaky or not, it's better than you having to drive to each of these and be in a hotel, etc. So this one doesn't have a super box on it. We'll see if anybody's inside the house. If there is a super box, I still try to be very careful about not just barging in case somebody's in there. Don't want to surprise people. That's always uncomfortable and can result in a person being shot or cops called or whatever. So looks like nobody's going to answer this. So I'll go hunting for the super box. And I'll knock again, just to make sure that we're not surprising anybody. Super box is usually in front. When that's not the case, it's often on the gas meter. And when that's not the case, you gotta hunt. And there may not be a super box, but here it is on the gas meter. So you will need to have Supra access. It's kind of like not having a website. If you don't have Supra access, you're just not really in the game. So I'll use that and get into the house. I had notified these guys an hour ago that I was going to be late based on what my phone told me, and then I got into my Jeep and it totally changed the time. So I told them I was going to be 5 minutes late, and we're 3 minutes after 2 o'clock right now. So I'm expecting the buyer soon. But at least I'll have the house open by the time they show up. Hello, home inspector. So I don't have the buyers here with me. This is where I'll usually get to know them a little bit, develop a little bit of a relationship, show that I care about them, because it's really about the buyers, not about the home. You can see this one has been updated, but it was still, being that it was built in the avenues, it was still probably built in the early 1900s. It's pretty, you know, you got this wood floor going here, you got the casing around the windows, there's a lot of pretty going on, but you know, there's a very valid reason why a person needs an inspection when you're buying these homes. It could be aluminum wiring, could be asbestos, could be lead, could be structural issues, could be electrical. And So yeah, these homes in the avenues, especially Cottonwood area, Sugar House, they can be an adventure. I'm going to wander back outside and see if that's my buyer that just showed up. I left the key here in the knob because then I don't put it in my pocket and accidentally walk away. That's what works for me. If you decide that something else works better for you, that's fine. So it is late November right now. There's no snow on the ground, but it recently got cold. You're always going to want to have something in your truck, or in my case, the Jeep, to make sure you can stay adequately warm. I am wearing a t-shirt under my shirt, and that does a lot of good for me, but I think I'm going to do a little more. I've got the BYU hoodie, but being that we're in the avenues, I don't think I'll be wearing that. You see, I also, in the back of my Jeep, have an extra Crossroads shirt, just in case I spill whatever on my shirt. I've got a backup. That's good to have. You see, I also have knee pads back here for when I'm getting into crawl spaces, etc. And then I've got a pair of comfortable gloves, because when you get up on the roof, especially in the summer, it gets hot up there, and you've got to put your hand on the roof. And sometimes that roof is too hot to touch. So a pair of gloves that you like is going to be a good thing. Alright, let's see. My phone. Now the app that I use is just a word processor app. And it's actually fairly similar to the clipboard and papers that I used to use way back in '93 when I started. So you'll see me refer to this. Now, I don't have my buyers here yet, so maybe I'll pause this video and wait for them to show up. Okay, so my buyer's not here yet, and that is a little bit unnerving to me, because when they don't see me notice stuff, then they don't know if it got noticed. You'll see that you got cracks going here. These are not structural things. We used to have windows, and then those got filled in. If you look back here on this guy here, you'll see that has a 36 there, which you divide that number by 12, and that tells you that's a 3-ton unit. You look here in this window well, you see that rock there. That doesn't drain exceptionally well, so the buyer needs to know about that. I actually ran a hose only about maybe a cup or two of water into the window well today, and it actually got into the basement. You got to be super careful about telling people about water into the window wells. So I'm just going to write this in. I wrote in "don't spray the house," and then I'm writing in "clean the window well." I have a code for this. I don't know if you can see that. It says MD for minor deficiency, CWW is clean out the window well. And that's how I can quickly put notes in. Here's my "don't spray the house" here. And you see we got sprayer here and then another one there. How do you like how we're draining the water into the neighbor's yard? Yeah, that's much less than awesome and kind of illegal. So I'll mention that. Here we've got 125 amps, and that's a good number for this house. 100 would have been okay. Any less than that would have been a problem. And let's just see how we're doing. You got a GFCI here, and that outlet is not working. Try to reset the GFCI, still doesn't work. I'll write that in. That's a medium deficiency as well. Maybe it's on a ground fault interrupter elsewhere, but I'm going to write in medium deficiency plug on the east is not working. Okay, I will tell people about these treated railroad ties. That one doesn't have a lot of creosote on it, but some of these will, how they can become sliver factories, and they'd be well suited, or it would be a good idea to get those turned into something else. Ivy like this can be a spider pathway or a spider haven, and then if you go traipsing in it like I just did, then you can get bit if you're barefoot or whatever, and that becomes very unpleasant. Jetted tubs, basically, if they have hot water in, there's not a lot of inspection points there, and that's not really what a home inspection is about. I will generally refer jetted tubs, pools, etc., to a pool guy and have him provide a better inspection and more information on how to do the maintenance, etc. You don't have to know everything about everything, and you don't want to try to pretend you know everything about everything. That just gets you in trouble. Okay, here's the garage. There's a couple of things that I look for here, and normally I will ask the buyer when they're with me to just run this for me, but there's 3 tests you do on the garage door. The first is to trip the photo sensor down below and just make sure that that does its job. The next is to test the springs, and the final one is the second one is to test the pressure sensor. The third is to test the springs. So I'm just going to put my foot in the way and make sure that it reverses. The next, I'll actually put my hand underneath the door and see if I can get it to resist. And it just kept going down. So that's a pressure fail. And I'll write that in as a pressure fail. And that's an easy fix. There's just a screw there on the door that can be adjusted to adjust the pressure. You know, the springs, if they're off, it needs to be serviced, and just writing in the pressure fail here. The springs, well, the garage door system needs to be serviced every couple of years, so if there is a fail in this category, it's not, basically you turn that into something where you just sell them on servicing the garage door regularly. Alright, so this time what I'm going to do is when the door is almost closed, you don't want to do this at the top, because if the springs have failed, you're going to turn this garage door into a guillotine. So I just pulled, and we're about 6 inches above. And so if it slams, it's not going to cause an earthquake, it's not going to kill anything, it's not going to make you look bad, and it's not going to break your back. So I'm holding this up. As I let this go, you see this one's pretty good. So I would tell them in a year or so, just get these springs here tightened. But I wrote in the pressure fail in my report. And then we'll just go through and check the plugs, make sure there's no surprises there. This home was built in 1935, so the garage was built more recently than that, so they're doing okay here, but in the house it will be a little bit more of an adventure. Also check the door for signs of anger. That would be a meth thing. You can see this one has the crack going there, but that's all. You see there's a little crack going right here too, so somebody has definitely tried to kick that door open. We'll see what the interior looks like, and there is separate meth training for you that is specifically meth, and you'll want to do that. But this is the infield application of it. Sounds like the jetted tub is on. Not a lot of surprises here in the playground. The avenues have more than its share of raccoons and squirrels, etc. So one of the things I look for is, how close are the trees, and can a critter get onto the roof? And on this house it surely can. So then they get into the chimney and things start to get ugly. So I'm going to ride in, trim the trees. Okay, so water features like this, of course I don't know where the switch is. I don't know if it's intended to be working. There's a lot of things I don't know about a water feature like this, so you just refer the buyer to the sellers on that one and have them explain if it works, what the maintenance is, all those sorts of things. Something you also want to just be aware of is that roots go where water is. You can see this tree's roots are right on the surface. That's where the water was. You want tree roots to go down. When they do, then you don't get foundation problems, and kids don't get tripped, and trees don't fall over. So you see here we've actually removed this sprinkler head near the window well. We haven't removed this one yet. Those obviously spray much less. And again, we've got these vertical cracks going on. Those are very odd. By the way, if you don't know, don't try to pretend you do. Just say, I'll talk to an expert, or I'll get an expert with you, and we'll get this figured out. But yeah, it looks like we got windows again. These guys didn't want windows on the side of their house. Must have been a privacy thing. It really wouldn't help. This is interesting. You see that this rock here had some metal in it, and it corroded and drained down over the other rocks. That's not a structural thing. That's a good show and tell. Another one of the things you're going to want to check is the hose bib. You want to make sure that it has between 40 and 90 psi. And you can, this one was a little stiff. That's 80 psi, so that's fine. You don't want to force it too much, because if you're really twisting, you can cause problems. And you don't want to get sued for that. So a reasonable amount of pressure, and if you really got to turn hard, then just ride it in as a difficult valve. Now you can see that one is still leaking. Um, 80 psi, and it's still leaking. So that one probably, and that is not a freezeless faucet, so we're going to write that one in as needing to be replaced. This is another reason why it's helpful to have the buyer here, is because then you got somebody else who has a pipeline with the sellers. Like right now, I don't know anything about the sellers, if they're living here, if they're not, but the buyers know the buyer's agent, who knows the listing agent, who knows the sellers, and you can pass information like that on to them. Got to get drainage away from the foundation. Looks like we're doing an adequate job of doing that. That water's coming out to about here. Alright, turning it off. Okay, here I am on the top deck at this same house. You saw this tree from down below. I'd like you to see it from up above. First off, yeah, we got the branches doing battle with the power line, and at the moment it's not horrible. Another thing I'd advise the client about is that you can totally reach that main power line, and that it doesn't come in using a mast. You see that right there. Yeah, that's under the eaves. Now if you look over across the way, that's a mast. This home doesn't have one. So that's something I'm going to just point out to the buyer. This particular deck is built to be waterproof, and it just all drains off the outer edge. But I'm going to write in no mast, and I'm going to write in tree and power line issues. Okay. Well, good. Yeah, it's a good gathering place.
Do you think?
Yeah, it's a pretty home. You know, it's got some space to it. I mean, it's not the 10,000 square foot Draper home.
No, I don't want it. Never did want that. We raised our kids in a 1926 Tudor in Michigan, and we thought about blowing it out because it needed some renovation, and we decided now just go with the intrinsic quality of the home and just augment that, and we did, and it was loved it. And so when I saw this home, it was like, we even had the same lights. So
yeah. Well, I'll walk you around and catch you up to where I am and show you some things.
Okay. Should we wait for Abby, or she's on her way here?
We could do that.
Done? Are you
oh no, I'm not done.
Oh, maybe I should let you just finish, and I'll just.
Well, I value having you here.
Oh, I asked her if I should come, and she said no, let you do your thing. So if you want me to be here, I'm grateful to be here.
Oh yeah, I understand that every other home inspector in the universe doesn't want you here. I don't know how to not have you here.
Well, that's great, because I've got a list of things I've got questions about.
And Abby is the assistant realtor, is that right? Okay, so 95% of the value is having you here. Okay. So yeah, I think what we'll do is I'll give you the grand tour, catch you up to where I am. And then when she shows up, whenever that happens, we will give her the Cliff's Notes version.
Sounds great.
Okay.
Where are you from
originally Orem.
Ah.
And I've bounced around Salt Lake and Utah counties, mostly Utah County.
Okay.
I live in Saratoga now.
Oh, nice. I have nieces and nephews out at, what's it called? I'm not being a Utah and raising our kids out east. I'm not that familiar with it. I'm like,
a city? Are you thinking of a city?
I am. It's like
Salt Lake County?
Lake. It's in, no, it's
oh,
in
past the lake. So Orem, Provo, Springville, Eagle Mountain.
They're in Eagle Mountain and those areas there, and that's fun. And there's some here, but most of them are up in Midway. So.
I'm not man enough for Midway.
Why?
It gets cold up there.
Not the last few years. I used to work for Deer Valley, and that's where my husband was killed, actually. So it was I stopped working there, and then it was good. He had some disability issues, and I mean it wasn't good. I miss him to pieces. We had a wonderful marriage, and it was a long one, so I'm grateful for that. But we were just on a day like this, and he was an excellent skier because he grew up in a little farm where the Tintorreal Stadium is. And he had to be the janitor at the place across the street, the school across the street, with his dad every night. So as a thank you, and take care of the farm, they gave him a season pass every year. So he was a really good skier. And we were just on a bluebird day like this, and he caught an edge and hit a tree. And we weren't even hot dogging it. This is the bottom of the rock. And but he was wheelchair bound within the next year.
Oh,
so
that's rugged.
Yeah, so he would have been really miserable. And I have a lot of faith in the next time. So.
Good on you.
Yes. There we go.
Good on you.
It says on his stone, live with joy. So when I thought about this house and I was waiting to sign the papers, I was visiting him and it said live with joy, and I thought, okay, this is a good starting point.
Yeah, there's your sign.
Yep, there's my starting.
That is beautiful.
Well, that's it. Anyway, so tell me why I shouldn't have this house.
Well, I'm working on that.
Thank you.
Let's just start with, so I'm going to tell you about mountains and molehills, but I want to put everything on your plate, and I will try to describe mountains and as mountains,
Okay.
and molehills is what they deserve.
All right.
So this is a molehill. You see you've got a little bit of just wood rot on the bottom of your door there. And that's because snow is going to land there and melt.
Sure.
And kind of is what it is. You could try doing maintenance on it, or you could try replacing the door. If you do nothing, you'll be good for 30 years.
Okay. Sounds good.
So, I left my jacket in there, but right now I'm feeling pretty good. No, I'm good. A couple things I want to show you here. Oh, by the way, this here is recording so I can train home inspectors in Cincinnati.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Well, hello, home inspectors in Cincinnati.
Yes.
I still like Ohio people, even though I was in Michigan.
Yeah?
It was quite a rivalry.
Sounds like it. So you see there's a little bit of corrosion going on down here.
Yeah. And what is that there?
Yeah, that is a steel plate that's there to hold your stone in place.
Okay.
In windows they're called lintels.
Okay.
This is a screed. It is structural, but only for the rocks.
Okay. So it's just surface then?
Right.
Okay, so worse can happen, it corrodes and falls in. Can I shore that up in any way?
And then you'd put another one under there.
Okay.
That's an every 20 years sort of a thing.
All right. Do you think it's due for that?
No,
Okay.
I'd give that at least another 10 years.
Okay. Okay.
So this guy here, don't
Who's
spray the...
Abby here?
Oh,
Who's that?
there
Hi,
she
Abby.
is. Garth. How are you?
Good, how are you? I work with Michael. You don't, I don't see
Yeah.
I
We-
just came and Garth was giving me the
The lowdown.
lowdown.
good.
So
Perfect.
far we only talked about the door.
Okay.
She says, talk me out of this house, and thus far I haven't done much of a job of that. But we'll...
How's the report? Is it looking good?
Yeah, we're doing good thus far. I've been around the perimeter. I've done the main floor, and I was just starting on the upstairs. I haven't been down.
He says he'd like us to be here.
Okay.
So, there we go.
Yeah, so for me, and I recognize that every other home inspector in the universe likes it the other way,
Yeah.
but if I can have you guys here, then we can talk about corroding steel,
Okay.
and I can talk about how it's not a big deal.
Okay.
And then I don't get the phone call a week from now like, did you see the corroded steel in the corner? And I'm like, I don't even remember the house.
That makes sense. And he's also training people in Cincinnati, so that's what the camera's
Okay.
for.
Well, I'm glad that you like when we're here.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah, it becomes a lonely profession if I don't have somebody around
Yeah.
me anyway.
She warned me not to come, and he
I
goes,
know,
yes,
Michael-
most inspectors would not want you
Michael
here, but I do.
warned me to
Uh-huh.
come a little later, but I guess you didn't know.
Yeah, I have to train everybody my way all the time. So this is not new. And it's good to have your sunshiny faces both here.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
Okay, so this is awesome. You see how we're draining our water over into the neighbor's yard?
Okay, is that the neighbor's yard or a joint walkway area?
It may be an easement. It's unclear whose that is.
Okay.
But yeah, you're not supposed to do that.
Okay.
Now, if it's your yard, then there's forgiveness.
What if it's an easement?
Then it would be the terms of the easement.
Okay. We're going to have to find out about the
We'll
easement.
find out.
Yeah. And so right now you can see how, I mean, if I put that in the report, draining water into, whatever, that's not clear.
Yeah.
But having you here, we can talk
Yes.
about easements, etc.
Totally. No, I can write it down on my phone.
Oh, that's a good idea.
So I'll write down easement.
Here's another. My son has been texting me all day.
So this home is unusual in that you've got these vertical stucco cracks. Now, if you got a horizontal or a 45-degree crack, that is usually structural. These are vertical. This is where windows used to be. And so that's not a structural issue. Again, you see you've got a sprinkler head, and it is going to be watering your window well, and the AC unit, and your fence.
Okay.
So you can probably guess that I'm going to tell you you don't need that.
Yep. And are you going to put these in a report?
It's yeah, this is already in the
Are you
report.
going to write down like the easement and everything too?
I wrote in, what I wrote in is that we're draining water into the neighbor.
So,
And you got 3 tons here. I wrote that in. That's okay. Here, you actually have the bottom of this window well lined with stone. Your window well is your last line of defense against water entry into the basement. So you want stuff that drains to be in there. Stone doesn't drain very well.
Okay.
So you want to just dig that out and replace it with gravel.
Okay.
My thing when I write in clean the window well, it means dig down 12 inches and backfill with 6 inches of gravel.
Okay. And you put that into the gravel, or I just remember that. I'm old. I'm
he
totally.
takes pictures of everything, right? And
Right.
he writes
Oh,
down.
thank you.
Right. Let me just check what I wrote in there on
Because
that one.
I really do not remember things
I know.
very well.
Okay. I'm the same.
Yeah, I wrote in clean the window well, and then I'll just make a note to myself to describe. Another thing I have done is I've got a website, Home Medic Nest.
Oh, nice.
So if you want to know about window wells, I've got podcasts and videos and newspaper articles about window wells.
Yeah, I wonder because there was pretty bad flooding this year, right? Like with all the
Yeah.
rain. I wonder if this held up.
Yeah, so you'll want to talk to the sellers about, if they have had any recent flooding. Yeah, that's just a good thing to do. Now on this side, we don't have any drip lines from up above, so that's helpful. Now, in your electrical department, you got 125 amps for this house. That's great. You see how your power line and the trees kind of are doing a dance with each other?
Yep.
You don't need that.
No, and I also think that's going to endanger that wall fairly
Yeah.
soon.
True.
So I'm thinking I should really take that.
That
and do something with it.
that is a good choice. You see how this electrical line doesn't go above your roof?
Yes.
Now, if you look at these over here, you see you got a mast where the electrical actually comes above the roof,
Yep.
and much fewer problems there. I was up on the deck and I could actually reach over and touch that power line.
Which is not good.
Would they do that for free? The city?
I doubt it, but you could call them.
That might be something to have to. I don't think it's always to fix it that fast. But that looks like it's. Let's see how they
can
can do
try.
it. Yeah. Because that's something I think maybe that's a biggie.
Yeah, no, I don't know if you've got kids. You're too young for grandkids, but if you got,
No, I've got
She's got
3 of 'em.
grandkids.
yeah,
I'm old. I've got 3 grandkids. You're
Well,
very kind though.
good on you. But you don't want any brain-dead teenagers trying to slide down the electrical line there.
No. No, I
Absolutely
don't.
not.
So, 125 amps here. This guy here does not work. I wrote that into the report.
Outlet.
That
Yeah.
has to get fixed.
You've got 80 psi, which is a good number on your water pressure. And like I say, I haven't been down. Ivy like this. If you got kids or grandkids tromping through this, this is where black widows and funnel webs like to be.
And what likes to be?
Funnel webs. And those are the 2 kinds of spiders you don't want to get bit by in Utah. So I would lose this ivy and put like tree chips or rocks or something like that here.
All right.
It is pretty.
It is. It's one of my favorite ground covers, actually. I have a son who actually is it agoraphobic?
Uh-huh.
Seriously, agoraphobic.
Really?
Not like that.
Fear of spiders?
He's a big 6'6" doctor, right?
Oh, it's your other.
And he literally will turn white and back up in a room like this. And his friends didn't believe it until it happened. Yeah, actually, his friends now.
Well, that's funny. So in here,
Anything else but that?
I did some checking here. Your garage door opener, it's something that needs to be serviced every couple of years. But this one, there's a few tests I do, and it passed 2 and failed 1.
Okay.
The one that it failed is the pressure test.
Oh.
Basically, as you run it down, you want it to sense when there's something in the way in reverse.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it failed that one.
Oh, that's a biggie.
Yeah.
You don't
So,
want it to hit your car.
No, or my foot, or my
Yeah.
grandkids.
yeah, exactly. Or Fido.
Or Fido.
So that will be a simple turn here, but the garage door should be maintained by a professional every couple of years. So, and it's $150 or so.
Does it have springs? I've not seen.
It does have springs.
Are they in good shape?
They actually are. That's another one of the tests that it actually passed.
I just replaced a bunch of springs in the old house. So they're not cheap.
No, they are not. So these are the springs right here. And yeah, those were doing okay. And
Fairly new.
one of the tests I did is actually to disengage the door from the springs. And the springs should hold the door's weight. As I let this go, it doesn't quite do it. But again, if you got a garage door technician out here, he'll take care of that. Okay. And this is far from being a guillotine right now, but you know, obviously you don't want to do that.
No. Everything else looks good here?
Everything else in here is great.
This looks like water damage over here. Is that
Yeah, that is a water history there. I don't know how long this has been in place. That may have been a previous roof,
okay.
but it is dry today.
Yeah, it doesn't feel soft or anything.
Yeah. And garages sometimes have unique ways of getting water on the sheetrock. You know, sometimes people wash their cars in here or whatever.
Yeah, especially in the winter.
So all the electrical outlets in here looked good.
Are there heavy-duty electrical outlets in here?
Not that I saw.
Okay.
Are you looking for 220?
Yeah, I want to. I do pottery. It'd be nice to have a kiln.
Oh,
But, I can put one in if I need to.
yeah, doable. You just got to write the check. And again, looking at the trees and power lines from this angle, it doesn't make it look any better.
No,
Yeah, it's not safe.
and it's not good for the house. I would imagine if it's all on there.
Yeah, the other thing I didn't mention is that you got plenty of squirrels, raccoons, etc. in this neighborhood.
Yeah.
And they can get onto the roof and then into the chimney, and then the chimney is theirs, and then the house is theirs.
So one of the things Rob asked me was if you could check to see if they've had any varmint problems.
Okay.
And if so, what the history behind that is. Okay. I have had squirrels in our attic before, and it's no fun.
Yeah, they're cute, but they still poop.
And it's hard to get them out. I mean, they had a trap for a long time. Did we check this water feature to see if it works?
That is something you're going to have to talk to the sellers about. Obviously, it's not working today. There should be a switch somewhere, but
Write that down.
I don't know where that switch is.
Okay.
So yeah, that will be a conversation with the sellers.
I'm very concerned about these two, which I noticed.
As you should be.
Yeah. What is your recommendation? I mean, I'm going to have to do a lot of trimming of trees. I mean, even this tree is starting to lean on their wall.
For me, they're just kind of messy. I'd just lose it. I mean, I don't know how married you are to that arch, but it's not
I love
something
the idea. I think it's going to be a problem for them.
right.
And if I were them, I'd probably want the flowers, but I wouldn't want the danger.
Yeah. And you're right about this tree. You'll also notice that the tree roots are on the surface where they're going to be tripping somebody. You see down here, thankfully they removed the sprinkler head here. You got a smaller head here. But what's it watering? I mean, if we're watering this, then let's do that. And then you got more vertical cracks here. They took out a lot of windows on the sides. And I think I understand why they did it. I mean, it doesn't exactly give you view. Maybe it gives you some daylight, but I think they were looking for a little bit more privacy.
And I think there were some cabinets in there.
Yeah.
They redid the inside.
Yeah. And then coming around, I turned that on, and it does not want to go off. So that will be another conversation with the listing agent. And it was hard to get it on, and it's even harder to get it to turn off. And I did take a picture of that, and I wrote it up. Let me make sure that I did that.
So I'm noticing that these lintels are set pretty far out from the foundations.
Uh-huh.
Is it okay like that?
Yeah. Yeah, structurally, those are fairly beefy. And they are holding the weight of the rock, but it's not that much. So yeah, that's called a cantilever when there's nothing beneath it,
Beneath it, right?
and that's allowed.
Okay.
I just like to go under there.
I know, right?
We found a mouse.
Did you really?
Yeah, there's a mouse.
I'm not a mouse fan.
So, speaking of spiders and mice, etc., I've got a page on each of those two.
Okay.
Now this one, I should also mention, this is not a freezeless faucet. This is an older faucet. It probably dates back to 1980s. And so when you don't want to have them just tighten it up and repair it per se. You probably want a replacement with a newer faucet.
Okay.
And that's not too pricey, is it?
Usually the plumber has got to go in and remove some sheetrock on the inside. And I don't know, for him to do it, it'll be $150 to get him to the front door. And so the total bill will probably be $200.
But then you have to replace the sheetrock, right?
Then you got to replace the sheetrock. So now you're, what, another couple $100?
Okay.
Hopefully we don't have to worry about that cost.
Yeah, that one is a reasonable one to ask the sellers to take care of. And your roof, that's an architectural shingle, 40-year, good condition. You shouldn't have to deal with that for some time.
Looks like it's missing a spindle up there. Do I see that correctly?
Are you looking at the flashing there, the sheet metal?
No, I'm looking at
the fascia.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is missing that. And I will add that to the list.
Okay. And it's copper gutters, it looks like.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
So you see this one has an open front end here.
Yes.
So we'd be dropping water down, and that's never awesome. I'd cap that and make all the water go over here. And we are getting the water adequately away on that side.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm going to write in missing fascia.
If they were to put a chain down from this, or something like that, or will it tilt enough so that water does not flow? I mean, that it doesn't back up right here? Is it
Chain drain?
angled enough so
It does look like it
drain here?
slopes that direction. I'm not a big fan of chain drains because they generally drop water right here.
Yeah.
Now, if you were to put in a drain underneath that drains water out towards where we're standing, that'd be fabulous.
Okay.
But yeah, you got to control water, get it well away from the house, or there will be problems.
Okay.
You see the cracking going on here on
Yes.
the base
Yes,
of
I
this.
do.
Not structural.
Okay.
It's just annoying.
Okay. So that can be, what's it called, tuck pointed?
Cosmetic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Let me.
You are very smart.
Well, I pay people a nickel a week to say that, so I'll add you to the list.
I wish my husband knew the things you know.
Yeah. What does your husband do?
He's a pastor. So.
Oh, is he really? That's awesome.
Well, I'm going to venture out and say he knows some things I don't.
Yeah, he probably does. A lot of experience.
So we've got a well-used fireplace here.
I was wondering about that because I love fireplaces. Is this gas?
You know, it is, and here's the key for it.
Okay.
And it doesn't want me to turn it. So I'm going to write in that that's not functional, but you can see the gas line coming in here. This is a converted wood fireplace. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you know that gas is a lot more socially acceptable and,
Yes.
and much less grief. The one thing is, if you do not open up the flue when you turn the gas on, you just killed everybody in the house. And a lot of creosote in there. For gas, you're fine.
Is there a flue there to open?
There is.
I guess the other question is there a flue there to close? That's cold. You're not breaking.
Yeah, it's right now. It's open and it's going to stay that way. I'm surprised we're not getting a lot of cold air downdrafting.
So they need to check. That's a biggie. The flue and the gas lines
Yeah.
there.
So what you're going to want to do is put a glass cover plate on this,
Yep.
and then light it not with this, but with the switch on the side.
Oh, so how does that work? Is there a switch on the side? I would
No.
think so.
They need to
You'll-
update it.
Okay,
That's better said.
thanks.
It's more
Okay.
understandable for us.
All the fireplaces I've had that have been gas have had that. I guess one had a switch. You mean like permanently put a thing on it,
Switch.
and a glass panel?
I used your word. I said the fireplace should be updated. So yeah, you know, and that's what I do. I live in a world of negative. Everything's something that I can complain about. But yeah, this is one of those things where maybe somebody lights the fireplace and you did close the flue somehow because, you know, it's been cold, the downdrafting, nobody likes that. And then you got carbon monoxide in the house.
Yeah,
That's
dangerous.
that's not good.
Okay.
That's a big one.
That's a big one for
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, you can see the flooring has been updated nicely. I got into this half bath, and this is behaving. Your GFCIs are doing okay. The heat is all right.
You might need that.
Yeah, I might.
She's like, you're not getting my house dirty.
I love fireplaces, so I play with them a lot. I know it's hard to
Now the kitchen sink is hot-cold reverse.